Every morning in a small village outside Kyoto, 78-year-old men and women gather in the park before sunrise. They're not there to chat or feed the birds. They're moving through a set of exercises so simple they look boring, so quiet most people walk right past without noticing. Yet these same people at 70, 80, even 90 years old are walking without canes, bending to tie their shoes, climbing stairs without gripping the rail, and sleeping through the night without waking to use the bathroom 3 times. Meanwhile, in most Western countries, the average person over 60 is on at least 4 prescription medications, struggles to get off the floor, and considers joint pain a normal part of aging. What's the difference? It's not genetics. It's not diet alone. It's 5 specific movements passed down through generations in Japan. Movements that were never designed for fitness or performance but for one thing only: keeping the body functional, pain-free and independent as long as possible. Here's what they don't tell you in those glossy longevity articles. Strength training is great. Cardio is important. But neither one addresses the silent breakdown happening inside your body right now if you're over 60. Your fascia, the connective tissue wrapping every muscle and organ, is drying out and sticking together like old tape. Your balance system, controlled by tiny sensors in your inner ear and feet, is going offline because you spend most of your day on flat, stable ground. Your hip flexors and hamstrings are shortening because you sit more than you move. And your diaphragm, the muscle that powers your breath and your immune system, is weakening because no one ever taught you to use it fully. These 5 ancient Japanese exercises, which I'm about to walk you through, reverse every single one of those problems. They take less than 15 minutes total. You don't need equipment, a gym, or even much space. And they work not because they're intense, but because they're intelligent. Now, I'm going to show you all 5 in order, from the simplest to the most powerful. Number 5 might seem too easy. Number 2 is going to surprise you because it has nothing to do with stretching, and everything to do with a part of your body you've probably ignored your whole life. And number 1, the exercise Japanese elders say is the single most important thing you can do after 60, is so short and so subtle that most people skip it entirely, not realizing it's the key to everything else. But before we dive in, do me a favor. Drop a comment right now and tell me how old you are and where you're watching this from. I want to know who's here and ready to reclaim their body. Let's start with number 5. The Japanese call it Ashikubi Mawashi. In English, that's ankle circles. Sounds boring, right? Sounds like something a physical therapist tells you to do after surgery. But here's what's really happening. Your ankles contain more nerve endings per square inch than almost anywhere else in your body except your fingertips. Those nerves send constant signals to your brain about balance, posture, and where you are in space. After 60, if you're not moving your ankles through their full range every day, those signals get weaker. Your brain starts to doubt the information coming from your feet. And that's when you start to shuffle, trip on rugs, or feel unsteady on uneven ground. In one analysis of fall-related injuries in older adults, restricted ankle mobility was found in over 70% of cases. It's not weak legs, it's frozen ankles. I worked with a woman named Carol, 67, former librarian, who told me she'd started holding onto the wall every time she walked down her hallway. She thought it was vertigo. It wasn't. Her ankles had lost nearly half their rotation because she wore the same supportive shoes every day and never moved them. We started with ankle circles. Every morning, sitting on the edge of her bed. 30 circles in each direction per foot before she even stood up. 2 weeks later, she walked into my office without touching a single wall. She said it felt like someone turned the lights back on. Here's how you do it. Sit in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. Lift 1 foot an inch off the ground. Now draw the biggest circle you can with your toes, moving only from the ankle. Go slowly. You should feel a stretch through the top of your foot, the sides, and the Achilles tendon and back. Do 30 circles clockwise, then 30 counterclockwise. Switch feet. If your ankle cracks or feels stiff, that's normal at first. You're breaking up adhesions. If you have balance issues, hold the edge of your chair. You can also do this lying in bed before you get up. which is exactly how most Japanese elders begin their day. The key is full range, slow speed, and every single morning. Your brain will start trusting your feet again. And here's the kicker. Better ankle mobility doesn't just prevent falls. It improves your walking gait, reduces knee pain, and even helps with lower back tension because your whole chain of movement starts at the ground. Number 4 is called Hiza Nobashi, knee extensions. But this is not the knee extension machine you've seen at the gym. This is a seated movement that rebuilds the muscle right above your knee, the vastus medialis, which is the first muscle to weaken after 60 and the last one most people ever train. When that muscle goes, your knee becomes unstable. You feel pain going downstairs. You start favoring one leg. You avoid walking on hills. And eventually, someone tells you that you need a knee replacement. But in many cases, the knee joint itself is fine. It's the muscle that's gone. Research from orthopedic centers has shown that targeted strengthening of the vastus medialis can reduce knee pain and improve function in older adults, sometimes avoiding surgery altogether. The problem is, most leg exercises like squats or lunges don't isolate that muscle enough, especially if you're already in pain. Hiza Nobashi does. It's precise, it's safe, and you can do it while sitting down. I worked with a man named Frank, 72, retired postal worker, who'd been told by 2 different doctors that he'd need a knee replacement within a year. His right knee hurt every morning. He couldn't garden anymore. He was limping. I had him do knee extensions 3 times a day, 15 reps per leg, with one modification I'll explain in a second. 6 weeks later, he was back in his garden, kneeling on both knees to plant tomatoes. He never had the surgery. Here's the protocol. Sit in a firm chair with your back supported and your feet flat on the floor. Slowly straighten one leg until it's parallel to the ground, toes pointing up toward the ceiling. Hold that position for 3 full seconds, squeezing the muscle above your knee as hard as you can. You should feel it burn a little. That's the vastus medialis waking up. Then lower your foot slowly, taking 3 seconds to return to the start. That's 1 rep. Do 15 reps on one leg, then switch. Rest for 1 minute, then do a second set of 15 on each leg. Do this 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, evening. If 15 is too hard at first, start with 10 or even 5, but always hold the squeeze at the top. That's where the magic happens. If your knee hurts during the movement, reduce your range. You don't have to straighten your leg all the way. Even a partial extension with a strong squeeze will rebuild that muscle. Here's the part most people miss. You can add a small weight to make this more effective. Not a heavy dumbbell. Just a small ankle weight, 1 or 2 pounds, or even a bag of rice tied around your shin. The extra resistance forces that muscle to work harder and rebuild faster. But start with no weight for the first week. Let your body remember the movement. And here's the bridge to the next exercise. Your knees are now getting stronger. But if your hips are tight and locked, your knees will keep taking all the load. That's where number 3 comes in. Number 3 is Ashi Hiraki, leg opening. This is a seated hip mobility drill that's so gentle it looks like nothing's happening. But it targets the one area that determines whether you'll stay independent after 60 or start needing help with basic tasks. Your hip flexors and inner thighs. After decades of sitting, driving, and sleeping in the fetal position, those muscles shorten and tighten like old rubber bands. When that happens, your hips can't open fully. You can't step over things. You can't get in and out of a car easily. You start walking with short, choppy steps. And your lower back has to compensate for everything your hips can't do anymore, which is why so many people over 60 have chronic low back pain that no amount of stretching seems to fix. The pain isn't coming from your back. It's coming from your hips. There's a reason why mobility screenings in older adults often find that limited hip range is one of the strongest predictors of future disability. It's not dramatic. It's cumulative. Every year your hips lose a little more range, and every year your world gets a little smaller. Ashi Hiraki reverses that. I worked with a woman named Diane, 64, former teacher, who told me she couldn't get in and out of her car without pain. She'd started avoiding social events because parking lots made her anxious. She thought it was arthritis. I had her do leg opening every night before bed, just 3 minutes. 1 month later, she drove herself to a wedding 2 hours away and danced. She said she felt like she'd gotten her body back. Here's how it works. Sit on the floor with your back against a wall or a couch. If sitting on the floor is hard, sit on a folded blanket or cushion to elevate your hips slightly. Bring the soles of your feet together so your knees fall out to the sides, making a diamond shape with your legs. This is a classic butterfly position, but here's the difference. You're not going to force anything. Let your knees hang where they naturally fall. Now place your hands on your inner thighs, just above your knees, and apply a very gentle, steady pressure downward. Not bouncing, not pushing hard. Just a soft, constant pressure, like you're slowly opening a stuck drawer. Hold that pressure for 30 seconds, breathing slowly through your nose. Then release, straighten your legs out, and rest for 10 seconds. That's 1 round. Do 5 rounds. Every night. If your knees are way up in the air when you start, that's normal. That's years of tightness. Don't force them down. Just apply that gentle pressure and let gravity and time do the work. After a week, you'll notice your knees drop an inch or 2. After a month, they'll be much closer to the floor. And here's what happens in the rest of your body. Your lower back pain eases. Your walking stride gets longer. You can step over things again without thinking about it. And you'll feel more stable because your hips are finally doing their job instead of forcing your knees and spine to compensate. One more thing. If sitting on the floor is impossible right now, you can do a modified version in a chair. Sit on the edge, feet flat on the floor. Slowly open your knees as wide as they'll go, pressing out gently with your hands on the inside of your thighs. Hold for 30 seconds. Close your knees, rest, repeat. It's not as deep as the floor version, but it still works. Now here's the transition. Your ankles are mobile, your knees are strong, your hips are open. But none of that matters if your body doesn't know how to coordinate all those parts together. That's what number 2 fixes, and it's going to surprise you. Number 2 is tandem stance. Standing heel to toe like you're on a tightrope. This is the movement Japanese elders do every single day, often while brushing their teeth or waiting for water to boil. And it's the one exercise that directly trains the part of your nervous system responsible for keeping you upright. Your vestibular system. That's the balance control center in your inner ear. After 60, if you don't challenge it, it degrades fast. And when your balance goes, everything else follows. Falls, fractures, fear of moving, loss of independence. Here's the truth most doctors won't tell you until it's too late. Balance isn't about strength. You can have strong legs and still fall. Balance is a skill, and like any skill, if you don't practice it, you lose it. Studies on aging and fall prevention have consistently shown that static and dynamic balance training significantly reduces fall risk, often more than strength training alone. Tandem stance is the simplest, most effective way to train that skill, and it takes less than 2 minutes a day. I worked with a man named Richard, 76, former engineer, who told me he'd stopped going for walks because he felt wobbly on the sidewalk. He didn't trust himself anymore. I had him practice tandem stance every morning while his coffee brewed, just 60 seconds each foot. 3 weeks later, he walked 2 miles around his neighborhood and didn't think about balance once. He said it felt like his body had found its center again. Here's the exact protocol. Stand next to a countertop or a wall, close enough that you can touch it if you need to. Place one foot directly in front of the other, heel touching toe, like you're standing on a line. Keep your hips level, shoulders back, eyes looking straight ahead at a fixed point on the wall. Don't look down at your feet. That makes it harder. Now let go of the counter and try to hold that position for 30 seconds without wobbling. If you start to tip, touch the counter lightly with one finger. That's not cheating. That's training. Your goal is to need that finger less and less each day. After 30 seconds, switch feet. The foot that was in back goes in front. Hold another 30 seconds. Do this twice a day, morning and evening. If 30 seconds is too hard at first, start with 10. Build up. The key is consistency. Every single day. Your brain is learning to recalibrate your balance system, but it needs daily input. Miss a day and you lose a little ground. Here's the progression once 30 seconds feels easy. Close your eyes. That removes your visual input and forces your vestibular system to work even harder. If you can hold tandem stance for 30 seconds with your eyes closed, your balance is better than most people half your age. And here's the bonus. Better balance doesn't just prevent falls. It improves your confidence. You'll walk faster. You'll try new things. You'll stop avoiding stairs or uneven ground. And that confidence feeds everything else. Now we've covered 4 movements. Ankle circles for nerve communication. Knee extensions for joint stability. Leg opening for hip mobility. Tandem stance for balance. But none of them will give you the one thing that Japanese elders say is the foundation of a long, healthy life. And that's number 1. Number 1 is Fukushiki Kokyuu, abdominal breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing. It has a dozen names, but the concept is the same. You breathe in a way that fully engages your diaphragm, the dome-shaped muscle that sits under your lungs and powers every breath you take. Here's the problem. After 60, most people breathe only from their chest. Shallow, fast, inefficient breaths that barely move their diaphragm at all. And when your diaphragm stops working properly, everything breaks down. Your oxygen levels drop. Your heart has to work harder. Your digestion slows. Your immune system weakens. Your sleep gets worse. Your anxiety goes up. And your body stays in a low-grade state of stress all the time. Research in respiratory physiology has found that diaphragmatic breathing can lower blood pressure, improve heart rate variability, reduce cortisol, and even enhance immune function. It's not mystical. It's mechanical. When you breathe deeply into your belly, your diaphragm moves down, creating negative pressure that pulls air into your lungs and massages your internal organs. It also activates your vagus nerve, the main nerve of your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest, repair, and recovery. In other words, deep belly breathing is the switch that turns off stress and turns on healing, and most people over 60 have forgotten how to do it. I worked with a woman named Margaret, 71, former accountant, who came to me with a list of complaints: poor sleep, constant fatigue, digestive issues, mild anxiety. She'd been to 4 doctors. They'd run tests. Everything came back normal. I watched her breathe. Chest only. Fast and shallow. I taught her abdominal breathing. 3 minutes twice a day. Morning and before bed. 2 weeks later, she called me. She said she was sleeping through the night for the first time in years. Her digestion was better. She felt calmer. She couldn't believe something so simple had changed so much. Here's exactly how to do it. Lie on your back on a firm surface, like a yoga mat or a folded blanket on the floor. If lying down is uncomfortable, sit in a chair with your back supported. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, just below your rib cage. Close your eyes. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. As you breathe in, focus on expanding your belly, not your chest. The hand on your belly should rise. The hand on your chest should barely move. That's the key. You're filling your lungs from the bottom up, using your diaphragm. Hold the breath gently for a count of 2. Don't strain. Then breathe out slowly through your mouth for a count of 6, pulling your belly in slightly to push all the air out. That's 1 cycle. Do 10 cycles. It takes about 3 minutes. Do this twice a day, every day. Morning, to wake up your system. Evening, to calm it down before bed. If counting feels awkward, don't count. Just make your exhale longer than your inhale. That's the signal that tells your nervous system it's safe to relax. If you feel lightheaded, you're breathing too fast. Slow down. This isn't about speed. It's about depth and rhythm. After a week, you'll notice you're breathing this way automatically throughout the day. Your body will remember. And here's what happens. Your energy improves because your cells are getting more oxygen. Your sleep improves because your nervous system can finally shift out of stress mode. Your digestion improves because your diaphragm is massaging your stomach and intestines with every breath. And your mind gets quieter because deep breathing is one of the only things that directly calms your brain. Now here's the part. Japanese elders understand. that most Western doctors don't. These 5 exercises aren't 5 separate things. They're a system. Ankle circles wake up your foundation. Knee extensions stabilize your structure. Leg opening restores your range. Tandem stance teaches your body to coordinate. And abdominal breathing powers the whole system with oxygen and calm. Do all 5 every day, 15 minutes total, and you're doing more for your longevity than most people do in an hour at the gym. Because you're not chasing performance. You're maintaining function. And function is freedom. Let me give you the simplest way to build this into your life. Morning routine. Before you get out of bed, do 30 ankle circles on each foot. Stand up, do your knee extensions while your coffee brews. 15 reps, 2 sets, each leg. Then, while you're still in the kitchen, practice your tandem stance for 60 seconds total, 30 per foot, while the toast is in the toaster or the kettle is heating. Evening routine. After dinner, sit on the floor or in a chair and do your leg opening. 5 rounds of 30 seconds. Then, lie down before bed and do your abdominal breathing. 10 cycles, 3 minutes. Done. That's your day. That's the system. And if you do it consistently, 6 days a week, you'll notice changes within 2 weeks. Better sleep, less stiffness, more confidence in your movement. Within a month, people around you will start asking what you're doing differently. Now let's talk about what happens if you don't do this. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. After 60, your body doesn't stay the same if you do nothing. It gets worse. Every year you skip mobility work, your range shrinks. Every year you ignore balance training, your fall risk doubles. Every year you breathe shallow, your energy drops and your stress rises. The default path is decline. These 5 exercises are the interruption. They're the choice to say no, I'm not accepting that. I'm keeping my body functional, capable, and pain-free as long as I possibly can. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to be fit to start. You don't need to be flexible. You don't need to be strong. These movements meet you where you are. If you can only do 5 knee extensions instead of 15, do 5. If your knees don't drop much in the leg opening, that's fine. If you wobble in tandem stance, hold the counter. Progress is personal. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is consistency. Show up every day and do a little. That's how Japanese elders stay mobile into their 90s. Not because they're superhuman, because they're consistent. One more thing I need to say. If you have a diagnosed medical condition, if you've had recent surgery, if you experience sharp pain during any of these movements, talk to your doctor or physical therapist before continuing. These exercises are gentle, but your situation is unique, and I can't see you. That said, for the vast majority of people over 60, these movements are not only safe, they're essential. They're the minimum viable dose of movement your body needs to stay functional. So here's my final question for you, and I really want you to answer this in the comments. Which one of these 5 exercises are you going to start with today, and why? Are you going to begin with ankle circles because you've been feeling unsteady, knee extensions because your knees hurt, leg opening because your hips are tight, tandem stance because you want better balance, or abdominal breathing because you need better sleep and less stress? Tell me in the comments. Let's build a community of people who are choosing movement, independence, and longevity. I'll see you in the next one.